Hi, friends. I'm so happy you could join me here for some coffee today. Sarah and Scott and Joe and James and Rachel. And I'm so happy that you made time in your schedule to be here with me because it means a lot. And I certainly didn't want to have coffee or eat lunch alone today. So I'm glad that you're here with me and we don't have to eat alone or have a coffee alone. So thank you for being here. And, you know, I was honestly really looking forward to this because I don't know if you got an email from me last night. If you didn't get an email from me, it's because you didn't sign up to get emails from me. And in which case, I'll drop a link here so that you can get emails from me and I can show up in your inbox. But basically, I sent an email saying, I am so happy that we're getting together tomorrow. Kind of, one of those things when you have a friend and you text them before you meet up and you're like, oh, thank God I'm going to see you tomorrow because I got a lot going on and really looking forward to your company and your space and your wisdom and your ideas and your strength during this time. Because by the way, you gave me so much wisdom last week. Like so much wisdom. If you weren't here last week, I basically was saying that I needed some book recommendations. And boy, did you deliver? Did you have some book recommendations? There were so many. I'm still not through reading all of the little Wikipedias or Goodread snapshots about them. So we compiled all of them. So I'm going to drop a link right now. If you would like to read some of these books, they seem really interesting. They're coming from all of us. So I'll drop that compiled list if you're interested. Maybe, obviously, no one has time to read all of those books. So if you want to bookmark the page and come back to it when you're done reading whatever it is you're reading, that would be great for you. Yeah, you gave a lot of wisdom last week and there were so many amazing recommendations. So the list is so long. I'm really excited for you to check it out. And so I hope you can keep dropping that wisdom with me and hopefully keep dropping some ideas. Because I feel like that's what I really am in need of right now is some ideas. And what I keep coming back to, and what Joe mentioned, and looks like Sarah as well. It's just, so how do I continue to be? And by the way, we're having coffee, so if I don't have all my thoughts gathered, that's why. You don't have coffee thoughts prepared, but how do I continue to stay an effective leader? I'm an entrepreneur. I own a small business. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Never faced that before, so that's new. I have an amazing team and clients, and how do I show up to work as my best self with everything going on, and there's a lot going on. I don't even know where to start with all the things that are going on. So, which I know kind of is a discussion on mental health, really, if you want to put a label on it. I guess mental health is just, I keep coming back to how do I wake up in the morning and lead? How do I show up in the morning and go to work and be this leader during these times? And so the 2 points that I sort of keep coming back to when I'm journaling and thinking and brainstorming is consistency. How do I create consistency? Because the world feels like we have no consistency right now at all. So how to create consistency? To me, I've taken it really back to basics. And I do mean really back to basics, as in small things like waking up at the same time every day. And I know that seems so juvenile. Maybe we've reached this time of juvenile behavior. I don't know, but like wake up at the same time every day, going to bed at the same time every night, moving. I notice I don't say exercising, just sometimes, honestly, days can seem like exercising is, it's just so heavy. And the thought of exercising, you're like, I just can't. I emotionally, I physically, I cannot. And so just kind of reprogramming my brain of, okay, it's not exercising, it's moving to move my body at some point today for, 20 to 30 minutes. And there are some mornings like this weekend, I woke up and it just, I don't know, it was really heavy. And I was like, I can't get out of bed. I can't. So saying, even if it's at 8 o'clock at night, even if it's after dinner, you will move at some point in the day. So, I'm just wondering, how are you keeping any sort of consistency? How are you creating consistency, whether it's at work, whether it's at home? There's a lot of stuff going on right now. A lot of people, in their personal lives, in their business lives, kids, family. It's just, how are you keeping consistent? It's hard. And Mike, maybe the answer is right. Maybe the answer is just, I don't know. You kind of lose it and you work your way back. Kind of feel like that we're in the boat together, because that's kind of what I'm doing and trying to get back, trying to get back to that consistency. So yeah, I don't know what you've been doing to stay consistent and how you've been doing that, especially at work. It's hard. It's hard when you're remote. How do you stay consistent when you're remote? You don't even have to put on pants. That's really hard, Keith. You're right. It's extremely difficult. So I don't know. I think, keeping a schedule, experiment. That's a good point. Honestly, Matthew's experiment. I think we're all just going to have to maybe just try different things and see what works, what doesn't, how we get through this. Nick. Okay, that's exactly what I was trying to do with this. Like this is consistent for me. I'm like really excited to have this space to like I said, share ideas, share wisdom, share strength, share resources, share that pick me up that's like, God, we're going to get through this. We are together. So this has created a lot of consistency and something bright to look forward to for me. So anyways, consistency is one. And honestly, productivity is the other, which, I feel like a lot of people have been kind of touching on is, how do we stay focused? How do we make the most out of our day? How do we avoid the 20 billion distractions, whether it's these, by the way, whether it's snacks, whether it's our kids. I don't even have kids, but a lot of my friends that do have kids, how do we stay productive? In the midst of all of this, all of the interruptions that we're going through. And, I was reading a really interesting article in Fortune. I'll drop it in the comments, but it was basically talking about the pandemic and childcare. And I mean, again, I don't have kids, but I just keep thinking of all of my friends with kids at home. I find this is hard. And again, I don't have people interrupting me for snacks every 2 minutes. So, or trying to teach them. I mean, I can't, the amount of disruptions and the amount of focus that you're able to give to work right now is tough, is really tough. And so, I feel like I've been really trying to stay on task, kind of going back to consistency. I feel like they're very interrelated. Matt, the lack of consistency. Maybe that's all of it. The learning to get uncomfortable with the fact that we're not as productive during this time. And maybe that's the answer. Anyways, I feel like I've been, really trying to try all of these productivity hacks, reading articles, listening to podcasts about how to stay focused, how to be productive. Anyways, I've tried a bunch. I've had a lot of trial and errors. I think I'm gonna write an article of actually like the top ones that have worked for me, and I'm gonna share it because that way, hopefully, all of my experiments you'll benefit from and I'll benefit from. But I think as Jeffrey just pointed out, productivity it's a moving target. It's a moving target. Like we're just trying to figure it out. We're all trying to figure it out. So I've tested a bunch of stuff. I'll share it with you guys next week. Because Sarah, I feel the same way. You're being pulled in a million directions. It's hard. It's really, it's super difficult. So, and by the way, we've had a lot of time to practice all this productivity and all these hacks because to this week for me is 12 weeks. 12 weeks in this pandemic. So, anyways, I'll share that with you next week. But I don't know if you have any tips for staying productive at work right now. Kind of going back to maybe that consistency. Ron was staying organized. You're right. I think organization is huge right now. I don't know if you're guilty of this, but I have about 1 million Post-it notes everywhere trying to help me keep my brain in order because, again, I think with everything going on in the world right now, everyone just feels a bit scattered. It feels extremely hard to focus. It feels extremely hard to sink into something, to dedicate time. It just feels very chaotic. I don't know if it feels that way for you too, but Whitney, this is amazing. Monday. Okay, I've heard about Monday. Thank you for bringing that up because I've heard about Monday, but I don't actually use it. I should see if they have a free trial because I'm like a try before you buy type of gal. So thank you, Whitney. I'm going to do that later today. I'm going to go on Monday.com. I'm going to see if they have a free trial. I'm going to try it out because maybe that will help. Like I said, I'm all about the help. If anybody has help, please. I think we could all use the help. So, any productivity at work advice, that would be, oh, great. They do, Whitney. Perfect. Jesse, meditation background music. Never thought of that. Smart. And, I've read articles that they say when you listen to Mozart or any of these symphonies that, I'm not a scientist, but apparently parts of your brain light on fire and fire better. So that's a good idea too. And music is super powerful, as we all know, and that can make a huge difference. So that's good. And Jesse, if you have like a playlist, I don't know where you're getting this soothing, relaxing background music, but if you have a playlist that you can share with us or one on Spotify or Apple Music, I don't know what you listen to, but would love it. Would love that if you can share that with us in here so we can all benefit. Lunch at the same time. Okay, Victor, I'm so glad you pointed this out. This is going to sound insane. I think my team actually thinks I'm kind of nuts, but I have started in my calendar every day. It's like a repeating Monday through Friday. I literally mark off lunch and I tell myself, okay, this is your lunch hour. This is when we are eating food, which sort of makes me feel like a 6-year-old on like a kindergarten schedule, but here we are, So I am right there with you. I literally have been keeping a lunch schedule. Again, I know that sounds ridiculous. I love this, Jennifer. 3 goals per week. Okay, the full focus planner, something else that I've heard about, but again, never tried. So maybe that's something also along with Monday.com to give a go right now. I do sort of my own journaling, like ad hoc style in the morning that has like a little bit of gratitude stuff, a little bit of goal stuff, but like it's not structured. It's like Kim's thoughts of the morning, which maybe it needs a little bit more structure. So thank you for all this because, oh, yes, thank you. Okay, now we're all going to have the soothing music. Thank you, Jesse. Woo. Much, much, much appreciated. So anyways, I feel like that's kind of what I'm focused on is consistency and productivity. You know, I'm curious, like, because those are my sort of buckets, what I've worked out in this. I don't know with you, you know, what's an area that you're focused on right now? What's something that you're trying to prioritize in your life? I'd love to just kind of see what you have going on too. Create a new normal. I heard a great quote. Dave Hollis said this quote, and I've been loving it. I've been telling it to everybody, which is, in the rush to get back to normal, consider what normal you're going back to. And I loved it. And I thought it was so powerful. What normal do you want to go back to? And that can look a lot of different ways, right? Normal as a societal norm, normal as work, normal as a parent, normal as a daughter or a son or a sister or a brother, or like, how are you showing up in the world and what is going to be your new normal? Could not agree more. Could not agree more. It's going to be a question that we're all going to have to answer sooner rather than later. So, and I feel like so much of these, you know, topics and responses, you know, whether it's reset breaks or trying to stay focused and exercise, you know, Rick, of course, I think exercise is a brilliant way to kind of focus on something right now. Nature, yes. Getting back to the basics, absolutely. And I feel like a lot of it is really, you know, how to get back to this mix of work and life. How do we get back to this mix of work and life? And, you know, I think one of the best examples I saw of that this weekend, I don't know if anybody watched the NASA and SpaceX launch. You know, drop a yes if you tuned in to that. I watched it on YouTube. I know that they were streaming it live, but there were a lot of other places to watch it. I think Instagram had a live going on. I think some other platforms, but the big SpaceX NASA launch was, I don't know, it felt really hopeful and exciting and sort of thinking of yourself as something small and something much, much bigger. But if you watched it, you know, one thing that really stood out to me, other than how cool astronauts, right? That's pretty amazing. And I thought two facts were really cool, basically. One, it was the first time anyone in space had used anything touchscreen. So we have these, you know, little phones that we're touch screening all the time. But it was the first time in space anything wasn't a button. So that made me feel like, okay, we're all making tiny movements forwards, even freaking astronauts at NASA. So that felt like a moment. And, you know, what else felt like a moment, you know, when I think about this work life and how do we show up as leaders and how do we show up to work and still do all of this stuff? And I don't know if you noticed the purple sparkly dinosaur. Did anyone notice the purple sparkly dinosaur that had its own seatbelt and its own seat in the rocket ship? And if you didn't, I will drop a link here. You might have missed it because it was tiny dino, but I'll drop a link. It has a picture of the dino. You can buy a dino. But what I thought was really cute about this sort of moment is the astronauts who blasted off and are in space right now. They have sons. Each one of them has a son, and each son loves, coincidentally, dinosaurs. And so they picked a toy. They picked this dinosaur to go up with their dads, which I can't even imagine. Your dads are going up in a rocket ship, and obviously it could explode or something could go wrong. So, carrying a piece of your kids with you on, this historic mission. So you're setting history, and at the same time, there's a dinosaur, zero G detector dino. And that to me just kind of felt like this moment of this sort of work personal, whatever you want to call it, integration. And to me, that's because we have a lot going on in our personal lives and in society and our own families and our communities, but we still have to show up to work. And be our best selves and be leaders and be the fierce, awesome people that we know that we are. And so, I don't know, that dino it struck me. It was sort of this, it was this work personal moment that I felt like was really something that should be looked at. And notice I don't say work-life balance. So I don't know. Let me get on my soapbox here for a minute. But I freaking hate work-life balance. I think that is a terrible term. I think it sets expectations that are completely unrealistic for people. Because what is balance? It's choices. It's work-life choices. And you make choices every day on what's going to be your focus. Daniel, okay, bye. Go kill it at your sales meeting. I know you have to run, so it's fine. You can get coffee when you can. So, I hate work-life balance. I think it's terrible. I think it sets, you choose. There are days when you have to be the best at something and you have to make a choice to do that. Do you think every Olympian has the most amazing relationship with their parent, with their kids, with their spouses, with their boyfriend, with their girlfriend, with their sister, with their brother? No, because they probably miss a lot of birthday parties and they probably miss a lot of stuff because they're training to be freaking Olympians. Okay. So you can't, that whole have it all, Sheryl Sandberg, I hate it. I think it's unrealistic. And I think it's all choices because at the end of the day, really hear me on this, because there are sometimes when I need to remind myself of this too. You cannot be all things to all people. You can't. I can't. You can't. No one can. You cannot be all things to all people. You can be all things to all people at different times. You can be a great daughter one day and a great boss the next day, but it's very impossible to be great at all things to all people on all days. It's just no. It's just no. It's just, Gabrielle, exactly. Try that with kids. Exactly. You just can't. And so, one thing that I've also realized that this has brought up for a lot of people is asking for help, vocalizing where you need help, vocalizing where you need to say no to some things in order to give your full self and say yes to other things. And it's not a no because you don't want to do it. It's a no because you don't have the bandwidth to do it in the way that you want to do it. So it's just, I've been trying to live by this quote that I heard a couple months ago, which is, if it's not a full-bodied yes, it's a no. It's a no. If it's not a full body yes, it's a no. And so, and it's hard. I have trouble saying no. We all want to be helpful. Sure, I'll help. Sure, I'll donate. Sure, I'll volunteer. Sure, I'll take on that extra assignment. Yes. But no, you don't have the bandwidth. No. And so I don't know, do you have trouble saying no? I don't know if you have resources on how to get better with no's. I'll share an example that I heard, and then I want to hear what you think too, is, I was listening to a Tim Ferriss podcast these past couple days, and it was with Elizabeth Gilbert, who I love. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. She's an amazing writer, speaker, person, human. And she had an amazing podcast called Big Magic, which I thought was really inspiring. And anyways, she was on the Tim Ferriss podcast, and she was talking about the power of no, and really kind of stepping into your power of saying no to things that you cannot do. And honestly, things that you don't really want to do. Again, if it's not a full body yes, it's a no. So if somebody says, hey, do you want to volunteer to tutor kids via Zoom this summer? And in your first reaction is, I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the bandwidth to do that. But you feel obligated. Okay, yeah, but the kids need you. And if it's not a full body yes, if you're feeling hesitation around, oh God, another thing on my plate, it's a no. And she talks about to stay away from the word but, which is, I'd love to tutor the students, but, and whatever the but is, like something like, but I have to watch my kids in the afternoon, so I can't. Because she talks about what masterful sort of manipulators, maybe that's a harsh word, but people will do, is they'll find a solution to your but. So then you have to do it. They'll be like, well, if you're saying you would tutor, but you have to watch your kids in the afternoon, great news. I know Teresa, and she'll watch your kids in the afternoon. That way you can tutor. And then you realize you're stuck because you gave that as the excuse, when the real excuse is just no. And so I thought, for some reason, that stuck with me, the but. So she talks about replacing but with and. So saying, I'd love to tutor the students, and I just don't have time right now. Or just and no. She just talks about saying, like, it sounds like a really worthy cause, and I just can't make it work. I just can't make it work. And she said, that's enough. I just can't do it. I just can't make it work. And you don't have to explain yourself, and you don't have to justify it, and you don't have to give 10 reasons why. It's just, hey, it's a no. And so, yeah, she talks about, and thank you. So, no and thank you. I'd love to tutor the kid, tutoring sounds interesting, but no, and thanks for asking. So anyways, I don't know if what tactics you have for saying no, or tips or tricks around saying no, or advice to me about saying no. But, oh, what a great quote. Decide what you want and what you're willing to exchange for it. Yeah. That can be a very, very easy way to say no. Also, I'll drop a link in here of the episode with Elizabeth if you want to read it, if you want to listen to it. I thought it was a really great listen. She talks about lots of other things, but the no was part of it. So I'll drop the link in here. If you listen to Tim Ferriss, maybe you already heard the episode. I think that can be super, super great. I love that. No is a complete sentence. Yeah. And maybe that's the lesson. Maybe there's no buts or ands or whatever. It's no. It's no. I think it's hard because you want to help right now. I think everyone's feeling this pull to help, to volunteer, to be there, to be in community, to be side by side to everybody. So I think, again, right now, it's really hard to say no. Really hard to say no. Yeah, Dennis, we can't do everything, but yeah, but I agree with Gabrielle, and especially as women, we are taught to be accommodating and yes, and do it all. But I actually think that that's now probably most men and women. I mean, everyone wants to be a helper. Everyone wants to feel like they're contributing, especially right now with everything going on in the world. So I think it's just, yeah, people don't like hearing no. And maybe it's just leaning into the uncomfortableness of no. We've been leaning into a lot of other uncomfortable lately. So, oh, great. Nat, thank you. A book about no. Yes. We should just, I'll try to make like an ongoing book list and maybe like categorize it. I don't know. That'll be a thought, but we're just getting such good book recommendations. But yes, essentialism. I think that would be great. Yeah, grammatically no is a sentence, Mike. I know. But it's a hard sentence. That is a really hard, at least for me. I can only speak for me. For me, it is a hard sentence to really wrap my head around. And I just, I want to also point out that like struggling with no, I just want to point out it's not because you're weak. It's because you're nice, like you want to be helpers. And so I think it's also just about putting your own mask on, the airplane, not that we're on airplanes a lot right now, but put your own mask on before helping other people with their mask. I think a lot of people are just looking to be a helper, but we have to realize that, our own mask is really important. So I think it's just, yeah. So I know I'm also just trying to be a helper. I've also realized I'm trying to be a helper in a scalable way, because I've also realized that, being a helper is great and one-on-one help is great, but scaling that help is also great. So you're touching more people. And I know I talked about it last week that I mentioned that crisis course that I did with LinkedIn for small business leaders. I'm excited about that. I'll drop a link in the comments if you weren't here last week and you missed it, but kind of brief recap. I partnered with LinkedIn. I made a course all about how to lead a small business through this crisis, because I think a lot of corporations have a lot of resources and lawyers and advisors and mentors, and a lot of small businesses just don't. They just don't have all of those many resources. So I thought that this was a really great way to try to get those resources. I also love that. Bye, Matt. Thank you for having coffee today. It's important to try to help people where you can, and also try to help people all over the world outside of your communities. LinkedIn Learning is a global community. There are people I know having coffee with us right now that are, I'm in the United States, but you're not necessarily in the United States. And so I think that that's also something to keep in mind and remember that, we're a global community as well. So I think that that's important, but I was hoping to get your help with something. Okay. So I talked about it last week that if you have LinkedIn Premium, the course is free, but if you don't, it costs like 2 mocha Venticinos. Ciao, Claudio. So it costs money. So I was like, crap, it costs money. And what if people can't afford it? And what if small businesses can't afford it? And that's going to be terrible. So I talked to LinkedIn. Here's part of my thing that I need help with. There is a way that I can release the course for free, unlock it totally for free. But there's always a but. It's sort of like Cinderella scenario, because I can only release it for free for 24 hours. It can only be released for free for 24 hours, and then it disappears behind a paywall again. So my question to you is, should I release the course on a weekend or a weekday? I only have 24 hours, okay? So here's what I'm thinking. If I release the course on a weekend, more people are able to watch it because there's no work. Con, less people are logging into LinkedIn. You might have errands to run, whatever, and it kind of might get lost in the shuffle. Okay, so that's the weekend argument. The weekday pro, if I release it on a weekday unlocked, more people will see it because more people are on LinkedIn Monday through Friday. And if more people are on LinkedIn Monday through Friday, they can also tag people because the tagging is huge. So like Jesse and Glenn and Scott can be like, oh, I know 5 people that would also watch this in the next 24 hours. Like, let me tag them. So the tagging is key. And again, so that's kind of the course is only 30 minutes. I wanted to keep it brief, succinct. People don't have time. Going back to our earlier discussions of chaos and trying to focus and productivity, it's only 30 minutes. We just do not have time for anything longer. So anyways, weekday pro, more people on LinkedIn, but obviously con, they might have work and maybe they don't have 30 minutes. So I don't know. Weekday, weekend. The other idea I had is, okay, if I do it during the weekday, maybe I do a lot of posts leading up to it so that everyone has time to like block it out. Oh, Friday at 1 to Saturday at 1. Craig, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. So then maybe people could do it Friday afternoon or Saturday morning. Interesting. Yeah. So then basically I was like, maybe I just tell everybody, kind of like a save the date, like a wedding. Like I say, like, okay, it's June 10th. Everybody save 30 minutes, June 10th. You know, I'm making that up. That's not the date, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like give people a week or give people 2 weeks and be like, get ready to tag your friends, get ready to send this to people. Like it's coming, set aside 30 minutes. You know, we want to make this really impactful. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Like, do you think if I just give people enough lead time, you know, Glenn, what day does LinkedIn have the most activity? Honestly, Mondays and Tuesdays. That's what I'm told. Who knows if that's right? I feel like everybody has all these like the best day is Wednesday at 10 a.m. I don't know, Glenn. That's just what I have been reading, that Monday and Tuesday are the best days. But again, you know, I think maybe I'd love to hear your thoughts on setting a day and then giving people time to think like, what 5 people can I tag who will watch this for free and it'll really help. So, you know, give me your thoughts on that anyway, because I feel like you always give such good advice. So I would love your thoughts on how that can work. So yeah. So anyways, I would just, anything you got. Sunday at 5 p.m. to Monday at 5. There's an interesting idea. Mark, save a date. Maybe that's the way to go. Oh, and here's my other question. Do you know people that you can tag that it would be able to help? Because that's what I'm also really wondering. Like, how do I get people to tag? Because here's the thing. We all know how these algorithms work, right? Like not everybody sees everything you post. That's just the way it goes. So what I want to prevent from happening is someone who's like, oh my gosh, I would find such value in that, but I missed it. Oh, I missed it. I mean, I've gotten messages from people being like, oh, I missed your coffee. Now, hopefully by doing it at the same time and the same day every week, that'll happen less. But, you know, do you have people that you know that you would tag in this? And, you know, again, like how do you promote that? Like, hey, make sure your friends don't miss this. Or, you know, and by the way, they can be around the world. Doesn't have to be, I'm in the United States, but it doesn't have to be here. It could be anywhere. So anyways, would love your feedback and your thoughts on that. So, you know, again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking time to like grab coffee today. I feel like, you know, with everything going on in the world right now, from politics to pandemic, from kids trying to learn in school to kids getting out of school and being home all day while you're trying to work. It's just, we got a lot. We got a lot going on right now. So the fact that you showed up here, the fact that, you know, this community, which I think is full of amazing, shining light humans, is powerful. I think that you and I sometimes don't even realize our own power, because that one little book recommendation, that one little quote, that can change someone's day. That can change someone's day. That can change someone's thinking. That can change a recommendation that they give to someone else. You have no idea the trickle that you're starting by that one recommendation, or that one word of kindness, or that one gesture of kindness, or that one, hey, I'll help you out with that. So, you know, I think community is powerful. I think we need community now more than ever. So I just wanted to say thank you and extend gratitude for your wisdom, for your advice, for your helpful comments, for your helpful tools. And I would say, just to kind of close this out, if you need help with something, please drop it here. Please drop it here, because these are amazing people that we have from all over the world. And if they can help you, yeah, in the midst of every difficulty lies opportunity, Dennis. You're so right. And so we're all facing these difficult times. And if you need help with something, if you need a resource, if you need a recommendation, if you need an introduction, I don't know what you need, but if you need it, please put it here, because this is the time. This is the group. This is the community that we are forming. That's why I said to invite a friend. This is it. So please share it here. As always, same time, same place, next Wednesday, if you can join. I took all of your feedback, because, again, so wise, so helpful. The calendar invites are helpful. So figured out how to do that. So we'll drop a calendar link here. It's magic. You click the link. It's very magical. And it automatically, poof, it puts this in your calendar. So you won't forget about it, and it will be there for you. So dropping the link in the comments next Wednesday, it will be in your calendar to hang out here with all of these amazing humans, learning, being in community, getting that support, getting those resources, getting those tools. Like I said before, invite a friend, because the more the merrier, and honestly, the more the better, because it's just more resources, more thoughts, more people with ideas, more people with knowledge. So thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of the week, and I will see you here next week. Bye. Thank you so much.